I haven't done one of these videos in a while talking about Messianic Jewish concepts on a regular series of Messianic Monday. And I decided I want to start doing it again. And as I've been sitting here today trying to think about how I wanted to start this series again, I thought about showing you maybe some diagrams, do like a presentation. And I think there's a place for those things, but it just felt like I wanted to go back to what I think religion really is to me. And it's a real thing, and it's a real thing that affects me and my heart. And so I think that instead of just showing you a bunch of facts and details, which are absolutely important, and I do love those things that they have a place. I think for this first episode, coming back to this series, I just feel like I just need to maybe set the stage by just talking to you, and it being a real thing. It's a real experience, and it's a real, like, I really live this stuff, and I really believe in it, and it has affected my life and transformed my life, like, every day. Like, every from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, it's changed my life, and so I think that's what I probably need to tell you is, like, this is not something of, like, a some kind of checklist sheet, some kind of, like, redundant list of things I go through. Being in Messianic Judaism transforms my life, and so I thought I would take this episode to explain to you what I experienced before I came to Messianic Judaism. So I used to be a Christian, and I used to believe, uh, in Jesus in a different understanding of who he is and what Messiah means. Um, I never had any resentment for Christians. Never had any um, like disdain towards, I guess, some of the practices that people do. I think what I went through in my life is I wanted to I wanted to continue to grow, and I just felt this immense love for scripture and reading about the church in Acts, and just the holiness of some of the people in the Hebrew scriptures. Most people call it the Old Testament. I don't call it the Old Testament, and I might get into that in another episode. But I always loved, and I was always fascinated with the people in before Jesus' time, the prophets, Moses giving the law, the 12 tribes, Noah, all these characters, and they do these weird things that make absolutely no sense to us in a traditional time. They cast lots. They use this. Aaron uses this breastplates to with all these gems on it, and it just doesn't make any sense to us. It looks like complete foolishness. And then he wears this weird robe, this ephod. Um, and it was so weird. It's like it was just a different world from what I would what I was taught about in the Gospels and the letters that Paul wrote. At least that's what I thought in that time. And I was always so intrigued by that and in understanding, like, how does that fit into this this gospel, these things I'm being told one thing, uh, and it looks like it says a completely different thing. And I I was a very passionate person. I'm still very passionate. But my passion has always been something that is inside of me, and at times even to my own detriment, where my passion uh, would forego necessary prudence in situations, especially relationships with other people. And so, but the passion came from a place of I want this, whatever this book is, I want it to be real. I feel it's real. And if it is real, then we have to treat it like it's real, don't we? When it says things like Balaam's donkey speaks out of him, we see angels guarding Eden. Um, just all these weird things that happen in scripture. And I wanted to I wanted to seek what felt real to me, because I've come from a life of wondering, why I'm even here? Why does this why am I here on this earth? Why do I exist? And so I wanted to seek what felt real. And so, being in church, I for a time I thought that would be maybe becoming a pastor, maybe becoming a worship leader, and I did become a worship leader in a church eventually, um, and also helping youth. And so I got to these, what would you say, very coveted positions in the church, and I got to the point where after doing it, I just said, I I just don't feel like this is what it's all cut out to be. I don't feel a real connection to whatever this religious practice is. And but I didn't feel like hatred towards church. I didn't feel hatred towards uh Christians. And so when I walked away from church, I never, because I think a lot of people come away and they say, "Oh, now I just hate every person who invokes the name of God," and then it seems like they have this resentful attitude towards it and then want to just destroy it and demonize it and everything. And I didn't really feel that. I actually just want to know what I'm supposed to do. How does this all make sense? And I wanted to ask real questions. I wanted to know how to understand this weird archaic text. And it was when a friend of mine showed me that the apostles in Acts, they weren't just young men, they were Jews and understood Jewish things and lived Jewish lives. And when my friend turned me on to that, I spent some more time doing research and looking at different books that covered the apostles and Jesus' Jewishness, and I felt like I was connecting to something that I could understand. And so then when he introduced me and asked me if I wanted to meet a rabbi, I was at the point where I was like, you know what? I'm willing to try to look at this, because I think we get taught that rabbis and Jews are, well, I wasn't taught like we have to hate them, but we kind of get taught implicitly that the Jews are demonic, and Jews don't really understand what they're doing and what they're talking about. But I was at a point where it's like, I'm willing to question my own biases to see if there is something to this. And as I have studied with Jewish rabbis all over the world, I have come to a place where I feel I can really connect to what the Bible is really about. I've been able to understand why people thought the way they did. And I feel like now that I practice the appointed times, I feel a deeper connection to God in a way that I just couldn't get from Christianity. Because that's the thing, is you can say this or that, and you know you can make all sorts of arguments for things, but at the end of the day, if you don't feel like you're connecting to it, then I just don't know why you would even want to do it. So, why I'm starting this channel again in this series is because I spent some time just thinking about all the things that I've been learning and continuing to learn. And I genuinely believe these things, and I've taken the time to really be scrupulous with the text and to figure out what was it actually trying to say. And it just speaks to me in a way that makes sense to me. And so now when I'm given all this opportunity to learn these things, I don't think that it's an accident that I'm being given this understanding. I think that people, when they're given a gift and given knowledge or given the ability to do something, I think it's on us to share that. And so my hope is doing the series again by communicating to you why Jesus is Jewish, why the covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is forever in place, why God will bring back the Jewish people, the 12 tribes of Israel, give them back their allotments, and why God will write the names of those 12 tribes on the New Jerusalem, why that matters, and what you can do, whether you're Jewish or you're a Gentile, the opportunity that you get to partner with God and his people in his plan. So I'm really excited to continue this series. We got a lot to go over. I'll see you next Monday on Messianic Monday.